Do you want to learn how to tap into some of your hidden energy sources? Well, you might find that some of the things that you're doing may be sapping you from your own energy and somehow self-sabotaging your future. Hi, I'm Daisy and welcome to my channel. In this video, we're moving through the chapters of How to Tap Your Hidden Sources of Energy by Elmer Wheeler. If you're new, welcome. If you'd like to catch up with the previous chapters, please visit my book playlist and access them there. And to our subscribing community, welcome back. I'm looking forward to seeing your comments on the post here, and by way of that, let me know if you yourself have been guilty of losing energy or giving away your energy through any of these mentioned, I would call self-sabotaging techniques that the author has mentioned. Like in the previous chapter, he talked about the emotional fatigue, and that if we can banish and do away with emotional fatigue, we actually will now find surplus of energy. Too often, and I myself have been guilty of using up my energy because I'm worrying about something that may happen in the future or may not happen in the future because maybe I'm not doing something now that I should be doing to make that future better. So yes, I too have been guilty of that. And so it was nice to get that kind of reminder and that refresher that worrying is also as an energy depleter. He gave some recommendations that would help, combat that, and also some success stories of people that have actually overcome that. And it's definitely something worth pursuing to eliminate worry. Perhaps we can't as a human avoid it all, but definitely counter it and realize that it is something that depletes much needed energy for things that are much more positive and useful, which is focusing on the present. And the other chapter, which was inferiority complex and how it saps energy and that mental attitude, the mindset that when you think that you're less than someone, how it takes away. And allowing us to focus on the strengths is really a way to build up the confidence. By building up the confidence, we build up our energy. And I mentioned in a previous video, and this is probably one of those examples for me about that feeling of inferiority and also what is needed to overcome it, and focusing, understanding the weakness and also focusing on the strengths. And many years ago, I was a deputy sheriff for Miami-Dade County in Florida. Part of the training, among so many, and including law and other things, was to learn how to use a firearm. Back then, the standard issue weapon was a revolver. Nowadays, they're using automatic guns. And that, believe it or not, when you're drawing that trigger, it takes a lot of strength to really pull back that hammer on your finger. It's a lot of pounds per pressure, I believe. That's what they call it. Well, the short end of it was that I was not able to make it into that first academy that I went into because I did not qualify. I did not qualify when it came to the gun. I passed everything else, but you have to pass everything. So what did I do? I focused on the fact that, hey, this is the only thing. Well, then it has to be muscle. So I took the time to train. I took the time to go out to the shooting range. I became familiar with something that I never had used before in my life. And so I did keep up with that, and guess what? Well, the rest is history. So the point is that yes, there was a moment that I felt really low, that I did not feel in par with the others. I didn't stay in that slump too long, and if I may share this with you, I had to make that initiative to get myself out of that slump. And I did that by focusing on my strengths and said to myself, okay, what do I need? And then I checked around and I asked several people, so what do I need to do? And this is, you need to do wrist strengthening exercises. And well, that's what I did. There was a solution, and it took time, but I got there. And I was able to fulfill something that was there for me to do. And I served in my community and I learned a lot from it. And I really enjoyed those years. So if you feel inferior to anything, I would recommend listen to that chapter. There are so many people with success stories. And I have to tell you, each one of us that now is erect and walking, we were too young to remember how much pain it took every time we went from crawling to standing to walking. And so we did it. We did it. Imagine if we can bring that same enthusiasm, the same innocence, that same excitement to everything we did. Then nothing is a failure. Everything is a journey. Okay, my dear one, with that, I'm going to go ahead and move on to the next chapter. Sit back and enjoy. Chapter 6. One sure way to boost energy, become impractical, do something offbeat. Nothing is so stimulating as a total change of ideas. For an occasional lift in life and to recharge tired blood and batteries, do something offbeat. Become impractical and gain energy this way. Give yourself a shock treatment and get away from the daily grind of doing the proper thing always at the right time. Bust up routine. It will boost energy to let loose on and off and follow the philosophy of the Chinese doctor who said, if you have 2 loaves of bread, sell 1 and buy a lily. Becoming a temporary spendthrift and getting reckless at times pays off in refreshing the staid soul of one living too long with his nose to the grindstone of life. Energy likes to let loose once in a while. Another energy source. The kind of mental energy you use is often made not from atomic ingredients but from daydreams. People with daydreams to shoot at in life generate energy to get things done. So, to stimulate energy, have yourself a daydream. This doesn't mean we should blow the entire bank account and run off on a banana boat. It is not that drastic a treatment, but when the time comes and you are in the doldrums, pack up the kids and go off to a state park or spend a weekend in a motel with a swimming pool. The change will give the entire family an energy lift, even if you had to take a hammer to the piggy bank. Comes a time when healthful fun is more important than money. So when that dull time comes in your life, let loose, in a restrained way, of course, but let loose. Don't count the pennies for a spell. Just think of the fun. Buy the red hat if you feel you need something to bolster a rundown spirit. Trade in the old car for a new one, with top down no less, if that's what is necessary to give you an added energy boost. Despite your temporary financial burden in your burst of freedom, you won't feel the loss 100 years from now, and the heirs won't miss the expenditure. After all, you can always get another piggy bank. Give your nerves a break. This cure is radical, to be sure, and at first blush might seem contradictory to all that has been said on conserving energy. Yet it is not unorthodox. Many a medico, he said, it is time you take a vacation, a real long one. But how about the cost, Doc? Forget the cost. You're heading for a nervous breakdown where money won't matter anyway. So blow the works this one time. Give your nerves a break. Sound advice and often given by the profession. A scrub woman had saved and saved all her life. On bended knees, she scrubbed floors and saved money in the folds of her garments. What are you saving for, old scrub woman? Asked the tenant in the office building she kept clean. I am saving for a Dior dress to hang in my closet to look at, was her simple reply, and the tenant, after a moment's thought, understood. He then went out and bought himself a small foreign car he never had the courage to buy before, and it made him a new man, filled with pep and vigor and energy. The purchase rejuvenated him. He became 10 years younger in appearance. A Frenchman works hard all year to take his wife and children to the beaches for a holiday. He does it not once a year, but often 3 and 4 times. This seeming extravagance would be looked upon as ridiculous and not at all economical in America. Pop would look on in amazement if Mom suggested 3 vacations a year to pep up the family. Yet why not? Pop may be very impractical to his bank book, but he's being highly practical to the emotional health of himself and family. It pays at times to kick up your heels to break humdrum routine. Marion Carter Lewis, in an issue of House Beautiful magazine, put it this way: explore the joys of being impractical. So mom gets sirloin for dinner instead of a pot roast. Dad buys a cigar instead of a pipe tobacco. And both get a lift for their one-time extravagance. And who will care 100 years from now? Spend your heirs' money. Somehow, in America, we feel if it is not the usual run-of-the-mill living, it is impractical. We shy away from doing the unusual. The Puritan strain goes deep into the Americano, but then comes a moment when you must let go and step out of the steadiness of your life and become a king or a queen, if only for a day. Let's take the kids to the beach this weekend and not once tell them they can't have anything, says Pop, and the idea strikes Mom just right. And she has a new life to live the rest of the week as she makes plans, and Pop feels better, and of course the kids, who need little energy secure cures, right along with the idea. And all return Monday a little flatter in purse but richer in energy. The off-the-track stint can often liven you up as no pep pill can. Spend some of your heirs' money. It will be good for them. When to call it quits. The shock treatment is good for people. There comes a time in the run-of-the-mill existence to get out of that rat race, toss away discretion momentarily, and give. Give with a vengeance, and in so doing to stimulate your bloodstream to make it pump faster and stir up the muddy existence of the same old food, clothing, and shelter existence we are trained to live with as practical and according to the best rules laid down by the vice president of the bank who holds your mortgages. Become a beatnik. Travel can recharge batteries. The only trouble is you go to the same close-by vacation spot year after year, and it becomes a chore preparing for it. Then suddenly Mom says, let's pack the kids and this time go to Yellowstone National Park. I've always dreamed about it. Pop at first exclaims, what? Think of the cost. I am thinking of the cost in your health if we don't get out of the ordinary and liven us up with something new. I'll cut down a little, you do the same, and we can afford the added cost of the trip. Pop thinks it over, then sees the light, so they go. And for weeks afterwards, the neighbors and family and office workers hear about the great fun the family had in Yellowstone. It was worth hundreds of dollars spent in clinic to find out why you were getting down in the dumps, lacking pep and vigor. Be a bitnik for a spell. Treat yourself to a real trip, one you had planned to take after you retire, when it may be too late. As Phil Martin, who sells travel, will say, travel a bit when you are young. Then you'll have years and years to glow over the experience. If you wait until you are retired and old, then the years to recall the fun will be limited. Too many folks take their daydream trip too late in life. Nothing rejuvenates like a change of pace and a change of scenery, even if you go only so far as a neighbor of mine, which is to a motel in the next town for a weekend. Such changes give bored people chances to talk about new things, other than where is the Sunday comic section and whose turn is it now to mow the lawn. Try an offbeat time of the year for a vacation. Must it always be in July and August, when the highways and motels and resorts are crowded and you are apt to return more tired out than when you left? Why not impose on the boss for at least 1 week in January, when you can take off and have fun at an offbeat time of year? Sometime try an airplane vacation instead of one in the car. The thrill may be tough on the piggy bank, but it won't scream too much. And when you get back, think of the added fun you'll have telling everybody about your new experiences. Even the piggy bank will sit up and smile. Shock treat yourself. So give yourself the shock treatment on and off. It can save you so much in doctor's bills. It will save your friends and family too from an old grouch who has been going down the same old track day after day, weekend after weekend, summer vacation after summer vacation. If you don't believe me, see your doc. Don't see the banker, see the doc. Be a queen for a day, a king for a weekend. Go offbeat, blow the works, get out of that rut. Give yourself the shock treatment cure for the blues and return a new person. Chapter Success. William Shelburne was a staid businessman in Stead, New England. His position was near the top of a large chemical firm of world import. Yet Shelburne was at the bottom of his nervous energy. He was bored, irritated, tired, weary with life's same old grind. He had only one out, his piano. He got bored with holidays in Bar Harbor, the Green Mountains of Vermont, where proper people go for proper vacations. So one day he boarded a DC-3 airliner and flew to Mexico City. In those days, this was pretty offbeat. Mexico had yet to catch the eye of the 2-week jet vacationer, so Bill went there to revive his worn-out soul. He did. In fact, he liked Mexico City so well, he opened a tiny restaurant called El Paseo, next door to the present Continental Hilton Hotel. He put in a piano and started to play ditties of a kind you wouldn't hear very often back in New England. The place caught on with the bored American colony who liked Bill's songs, the food, and the bar. They liked to sit around the piano especially, so Bill made it into a bar. Today, Bill Shelburne is no longer bored. He owns his own business, and a profitable one at that, as often becomes a business that grew out of a hobby. Doing the offbeat put life into a dull business executive. Chapter Thought. When you are down and out and dulled by the daily grind, don't shoot yourself. Instead, shoot the works. End of chapter. Stay right here. We're going to move on right on to Chapter 7, titled The Secret Ways to Prolong Energy and Compound Your Pep, Vim and Vigor. A quote by Seneca. It's part of a cure to want to be cured. End quote. Like father, like son is an old adage, but is it true? He takes after his father. It runs in his blood, says mom when the son mopes around the house. But can such laziness and lack of energy be inherited? Can it pass on down the line, parent to child? I have good news for you. Hammock craving is not inherited. If Pop happened to love the hammock, this is no indication son will, for while eyes, ears, nose, and physical characteristics may go on generation after generation, lack of energy doesn't go down the heredity line. True, environment may produce a lack of energy. For if a son grows up with a dad who spends time with feet on chairs, whistling and whittling, the son may lean toward this inclination through close affiliation, but he is not bound by it through inherited lazy hormones. You and lazy blood. Dr. Burr Roney conducts a series of TV educational programs and often points out that lazy blood isn't transferable generation to generation. It is baldness. One might think it is normal to sleep half the day because that is the way they grew up. But that person isn't bound by a gene he inherited from parents. He just grew to accept so much sleep as normal. Can temper, the destroyer of energy, be inherited? The scientists say flatly, no. If Uncle Eb had a nasty habit of flying off the handle and blowing up pounds of energy, this is no sign that you will do so, except that you might see how it is done by watching Uncle Eb and be inclined to imitate him. But you won't get much support from inherited blood. Nor are de-energizing nervous breakdown inherited. Nor is bad blood inherited, as portrayed in the play and movie The Bad Seed. Parents usually set examples that children follow, and if a dad and mom have certain negative characteristics, the child might adopt them, but he is not inheriting them. It's the environment that wields the child. Energy can be inherited. On the other hand, energy itself can be inherited. Energy can run in families. The composition of genes that are in your parents can flow into you, and energy is one characteristic that does go on down the family line. Your physical makeup often goes from generation to generation. The big Nordic body is built to develop a powerful energy plant. And this plant goes on down the family line because each person inherited the physical plant to make this energy. But again, environment takes over. For while you may inherit a king-size body capable of great energy, you may suddenly find yourself living in a lazy land where the climate makes people unhurried. As long as you lived in brisk Norway, with the wind howling up by your britches, you moved with great pep. Energy flowed. Then the soft breezes of Latin America took over. They slowed you down. Soon, you were enjoying the hammock more than long hikes in the woods. So laziness is a cultivated habit. Lions and Emily Post. Dr. Henry Winans, the famed Dallas doctor and teacher of medicine, was once asked if a heavy meal destroyed afternoon energy. Did it give eaters indigestion? The doctor then told how he would take students to the zoo, show them a lion gulping hunks of meat. But note, he said, now that the lion is finished eating, he lies down. This may not be good, Emily Post, but it doesn't give him indigestion. Come to think of it, I never did hear a lion burp. He is smart enough to lie down after a big meal to give his system a chance to digest the unchewed meat hunks. So while a heavy meal will slow down energy, if you lie down, it will build up energy. It is no disgrace to sneak in naps on and off as energy restores. How to plan years of energy. Refuse to think old. Look for beauty around you. It keeps you energetic. Stop counting the years. Addition tires you out. Plan a long life and outsmart old age. A little Zen. Lack of sleep, of course, has the reverse effect. You wake up tired and listless. You haven't a roar in you. Much has been written on how to get to sleep. This is not my purpose except to offer a new theory. New to the Western mind, centuries old to the Eastern mind. It is called Zen. Zen is a way of life practiced by the Orientals, one principle of which teaches not to push. That is, don't force yourself as in fighting sleep. The harder you try to sleep, the farther it goes from you. Alex King one night explained Zen's no-push theory to Jack Parr in simple language. King said, you aim carefully at a target, press the trigger, and miss. You take especially good aim, miss. You aim again with utmost determination and care, but still miss. Then in disgust, you let a random shot fly out, and you hit the bullseye. That's Zen, or Alex King's interpretation of Zen to the Western mind. And it has merit, for the harder you try to sleep and gains sleep's energy, the more energy you burn up trying to get sleep and fail. The trick seems to be to abandon sleep entirely, give it up, forget it, read a book, watch TV. Often TV has a narcotic effect not only in programming, but its hypnotic effect on the viewer's eyes. Plan to stay up real late. Don't give a damn how late. Tell yourself if you miss sleep tonight, your body will crave it harder the next night. Then Zen takes over. Without pressure, sleep comes as though you antagonized it, defied it, and it is showing you who is boss, and you are put to sleep. Don't try so hard to sleep. That's as good a rule as any to gain sleep's magic and hidden power to give you strength for success. Music restores energy. Music can put people to sleep, not only heavy, symphonic music, but almost any kind. John Unger of Webcore, the recording equipment firm, offers this information about music and its effect in putting people to sleep through non-irritation of the eardrums. With women listeners, we have learned to lower all treble of our sets when demonstrating. Hi-fi sets with high notes annoy a woman since her ears are disturbed by high notes. Being so disturbed, she is irritated and irritated people cannot, of course, fall asleep easily. So lower your treble. Becky Inman's trick. Salesmen of hi-fi know this. That is why Becky Inman, seller of Magnavox sets in Dallas for years, has instructed all salesmen to turn off the treble the minute a woman enters her store. Music sellers long ago learned women like bass notes, for these notes soothe the woman's ears so sensitive to high notes. Be sure the treble on all sets is cut off when you plan to sleep with music. Your nerves will calm down, and you'll burn little energy trying to gain sleep's energy. And as you listen to soft bass notes, you'll be stockpiling energy, for your eardrums will be relaxed. As I said, one way to gain energy is to conserve energy. Bearing Cigars Method. James Correll of Bearing Cigar Company in Tampa, Florida, is an advocate of low music in his factory. It keeps workers going. It makes them hum and whistle, and they are happy workers. Happy people make better cigars. Here, have one of my happy bearings. Imagine happy cigars? That's a new twist. Cigars made by happy hands. But Correll gives a warning. Don't prolong music, for it then has an opposite effect. It slows up workers, for it becomes boring to hear music all day long. It makes people restless, and who wants to smoke a restless cigar? This is a quip, of course, but it has a bearing on bearings. Correll further advises. We find that to play music about 15 minutes, then stop it for another 15 minutes or so, is far more relaxing than constant music. And there is a time of day too for each style of music. In the morning we play quiet music so as not to jar the nerves of someone who has been out half the night, for that would be like going to a jazz concert at 8 o'clock in the morning. But toward the end of the day, the music tempo rises. Cha-cha puts people into good moods at day's end and steps up production. No PM slumps. This is logical advice. It is sound merchandising of energy. It helps spread energy over an entire day, first by conserving energy in the morning hours when most people have it stored up from sleep the night before, and then it inspires energy to rise to the surface at day's end when it is normal to sag. You might try this musical way to energize yourself. A good New Orleans Dixieland band is sure to whip up spirits about 4 o'clock in the afternoon when you are tired. It brings energy to the surface. Then at bedtime, try for the music that relaxes you and practice Zen. Refuse to go to sleep. The Sandman may get mad at you and take over. Half and half is best. Fear of getting old and useless in life burns up energy. Some people fear old age and deprive themselves of life's delights. No apple pie, please. It puts on weight and that kills people. I wish I could go out tonight. Thanks, but I need rest. You've heard such excuses from overly cautious people worried about old age and death. And while burning candles at both ends does destroy energy, at least burn a candle at one end. For pleasure gives energy lifts. To come home night after night and slump gets you down. But to come home after an occasional night out stimulates your system, clearing it of lethargy so that the battery can be charged easier. Try for the middle course. Half and half often makes a better drink. The person who can go between the extremes really goes. 3 good rules. It is in the in-between person who knows such energy-saving tricks as the following. Trick 1. Let the other fellow do the job unsuited for you. Experts can do jobs faster, easier, and cheaper than you can do the jobs you are unsuited for or unskilled in. You waste time and nervous energy trying to fix the typewriter, lawnmower, or refrigerator when a technical serviceman can relieve you of this tension. Laundries mend socks better than many a wife, giving her time for something she excels in. So let the other fellow do the jobs you are untrained to do. Trick 2. Let the other fellow do your worrying. It is not laziness but common sense to pass the worry bird to those skilled in worrying. If filing an income tax also taxes your energy, give the job to a worry expert. Let George do the jobs that worry you. It's George's job to do them, not yours. A firm in Arkansas goes so far as to lease out worry birds, people trained to listen, smile, and nod as you get a chronic worry off your mind. You may not want to go this far, but when a worry is getting you down, call in George. Trick 3. Do things you like. This is the end result of passing the technical jobs to technicians and letting worrybirds do your worrying. It leaves you with time to do the things you like. Then you are happy and content and burn up less energy. You'll be a far more energetic person if you will do the things that give you a lift. It has often been said that every person over 40 is responsible for his own face. A face bitter from years of doing jobs you detest is your own fault. Years of worrying about old age or failing to pass the worry bird make you old and lacking in energy. Avoid these 3 fears. Fear of failure robs energy. Report after report proves that certain forms of fear use up more energy than hard labor. A soldier goes lightly through boot camp only to have fear take over on a battlefield and rob him of energy to go on. A strong, vigorous trainee suddenly faces a job he detests and energy drains away fast. Dr. Robert Collier Page, a medical management consultant, lists the following as 3 reasons which cause executive to lose energy on the job. 1. Fear to accept responsibility. Many want responsibility, but not the worry that goes with it. So they turn down a promotion or a transfer. The title of boss man appeals, but not the fear of being unable to do the job properly. If you are such a fear person, then be content as you are without trying to be top man on the office totem pole. 2. Fear to delegate authority. This person fears that if he lets another do the job, the boss will spot this person and he'll take over. Others fear that if someone can do their job, they'll soon be fired. Housewives often fear letting maids do work. They may lose prestige from hubby and neighbors. Castro and most dictators fear others may take over, so they handle all things themselves in person. Soon such people are crumbling rejects in life. Dr. Page then lists his 3rd fear that absorbs energy. 3. Fear of sickness. This person becomes a hypochondriac. His pockets are filled with pills. He reads patent medicine ads. He subscribes to health magazines and is well known in health food stores. Now, while a little caution is permissible, to have a sickness complex really runs down the system and leaves these fear people withering bundles of loss of pep. Be aware of your health at all times, but don't make health a fetish. Is boredom a killer? Ironically, while boredom is a killer of energy, the habit of doing certain daily chores mechanically saves energy. For example, the sameness of having breakfast of coffee and toast, taking certain transportation to work, doing set jobs mechanically, lets your reflex actions take over and not your brain. People who must constantly make decisions of what to eat, where, and do each day burn up needless energy that their habit methods and reflexes will do for them without need of losing decision-making energy. There is a great compromise between the killing effects of long, drawn-out monotony and boredom and the killing effects of constant decision-making. Perhaps Emerson and others had the right idea: nothing in excess. Or, in words of the cigar-making choral, change your tune, play many tunes. How to grow old energetically. Think young, be young. Go into the sun, it creates energy. Keep in tune with the times. Be optimistic, it fires up energy. Breaking bad habits. Want to break a nasty habit? A habit forever annoying you and siphoning off energy? then take a lesson from Dr. Knight Dunlap, with whom I once worked when I was space salesman on Hearst Baltimore News. I was doing some pet research with a psychogalvanometer, now called the lie detector or truth prover, as some modern psychologists and criminologists prefer to call it. I wanted to determine which sales appeal, or selling sizzle, in a sales talk gave the greatest sales urge to a customer. One day, in chatting with the doctor, I asked, can a person form a habit of not forgetting such things as briefcases, eyeglasses, fountain pens, and bringing home a loaf of bread, things that ultimately cause them confusion, nervous tension, and loss of energy? Dr. Dunlap smiled. People who have such habits are always tensed up and needlessly burn up energy worrying about what they might be forgetting. Yet people are not born with bad habits or bad memories. They cultivate them. They bring them on themselves. That is true, I said, thinking of my own forgetfulness and how it made me tense at times. Yet, if one does have a nasty energy depleting habit he is trying to break, what must he do? Say you have a typing habit of spelling the word the this way, HTE. That's a common typing error that causes waste of time and energy to correct. The more you force yourself to spell the word right, the more difficult it becomes. You pressure yourself, tense yourself, trying hard not to spell it wrong, yet despite all the energy you exert, you still spell it wrong until you follow one rule. What is that rule, doctor? I asked. It is to deliberately spell it wrong. Spell it wrong deliberately? How does that correct the habit? If you deliberately do it wrong many, many times, suddenly you find yourself doing it the right way. My own experience. I guess the Zen people have something at that in not overpressuring oneself. For since this talk years ago with Dr. Dunlap, I have often observed this principle of habit breaking, of doing a thing hind end first over and over again until I cease to do it backwards. I can recall an incident in my own life where each day I had to visit a client on the 3rd floor of a building, but somehow I always got off at the 6th floor as I daydreamed by my stop. Then one day I deliberately told the elevator operator to let me off at the 6th floor, and I walked down to the 3rd floor. I did this 3 days in a row, and suddenly I had the habit cured. My system reversed itself magically. Try this recalcitrant theory. The theory of cybernetics. It may have been something to do with another philosophy called cybernetics. This is where you struggle all summer to learn to swim and finally give up. Then one day in winter you find you can swim. This theory has long been recognized, that of straining to learn something, giving up, only to find your subconscious mind has learned it and let loose on you at a time you didn't expect. It is quite apparent from the above study that people are not born with lack of energy, but bringing it on themselves through environment, mimicking laziness in others, or lacking a goal in life or an urge to go places. It is quite obvious also that nature usually gives us about the same energetic push in life, but that through lack of initiative, knowledge, or deliberate intent, we create factors that deplete our stockpile of energy and needlessly drain us of vim, vigor, and vitality. Yet this can be corrected, in part, by the above 6 rules to bring your hidden success power to the surface. Remember, energy can reproduce itself if allowed. Chapter Success Story. Energetic Rod H. Fletcher sells laziness, but of a kind that is often not inherited, but brought on by nature. His business is called R. H. Fletcher Enterprises, and one of the enterprises is selling beds that restore energy. Not ordinary ones, but those that can raise the head or raise the legs and save energy. Nothing new about that, you say. They've had them in hospitals for years. But not the home-used kind Fletcher dispenses. His energy-saving bed moves up and down electrically, which is good not only for the feeble and ill, before the downright lazy who want to read or look at TV in bed, or who like to put their legs up on desks to rest them. Now they can put their feet high up by pulling a lever and rest the leg muscles and stockpile leg energy. I asked Energetic Fletcher if he had any sales resistance since his beds, while not expensive, cost more than the usual mattress and springs variety we are used to. Yes, price often makes even the laziest person hesitate, says Fletcher, but I tell him that a car that costs around $3,000 is used perhaps 3 hours a day by the owner, yet a bed he pays $350 for he uses 8 hours a day. Some of the downright lazy or ill use them even longer. This comparison usually energizes and sells them. Ron Fletcher is an easygoing type himself, for he knows how to conserve energy. He is unhurried, yet his past business experiences have included many types of high-pressure salesmanship. He just learned the art of doing his job in an easy manner. He'll never have ulcers, for when he feels himself becoming tense, he walks into his showroom, lies down on one of his own beds, presses a lever, and up go his feet. He restores his energy through rest. In this way, he often does his dictation, answering phones, and at the same time gives a living demonstration of his energy beds. He even has his beds made into office-like lounges for the really weary or the really lazy who want to restore energy on the job. Chapter Thought. No one ever got a heart attack nailing a sign like this over his door. Gone fishing, back next week. Simple little tricks to sleep better and compound your energy. 1. Stretch. Stretch up farther. This takes blood from the brain and puts it into the muscles, allowing you to sleep. 2. Eat lightly before bed. It also puts blood into the stomach away from the brain. 3. Don't fight the pillow. It burns energy. 4. Don't think of tomorrow. It burns energy. 5. Think about your childhood and its fun and joys. 6. Read a good book, from the Bible to Mickey Spillane, to get your mind off your worries. 7. Get a radio that shuts itself off after you are asleep and learn to drift into slumber with a song in your thoughts. 8. Don't crawl into bed. Flop into it like a prize fighter who hit the canvas all in a lump. 9. Stay up late. Break the habit of sleeping between certain set hours. 10. Be a night hawk on and off. It'll do your soul good to stay up all night for a change. 11. Get up with the roosters at times and be as gay as they are. End of chapter. Let's move on to the next video as we continue with this book titled How to Tap Your Hidden Sources of Energy by Elmer Wheeler.